Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sabansi. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment. When we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we got a pretty interesting show for you guys. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel now. Let's get into this topic here. Yesterday, we were going to produce 3 shows on our channel yesterday. But then towards the end of the day, or towards the end of the time, I had to make sure I submitted all the episodes. I came across an exchange on ESPN First Take between Stephen A. Smith and JJ Redick. And basically, they were talking about all of the various things that happened in the NBA playoffs. And they got to a point where they got into this kind of back and forth where they were essentially throwing insults at each other on live TV. And their exchange got so awkward that even the host, the moderator, Molly Karam, she was like, okay, guys, enough is enough. Like, come on, like, enough is enough. So we decided to produce a show on that because I said my basic point was, you know, I don't understand where sports media is going nowadays. Now, initially when we produced the segment, we had no idea that it was going to be something that a lot of people were going to be talking about. So we produced the show. So last night, right before I saw the game between the Boston Celtics and the Miami Heat, Stephen A. Smith's podcast dropped an episode on his No Mercy podcast where he was addressing this very thing, right? And he basically explained, or he took us behind the curtains to basically explain the relationship that he has with JJ Redick and how that segment came about. So what we want to do is we want to play exactly what Stephen A. Smith had to say here about his exchange with JJ Redick, and then we'll come back and give you guys our thoughts. So take a listen to this here.
When I think about sustaining anything that I've ever achieved in my life, my mentality is that you can never pull that off being a phony, because you'll always be exposed as trying to be something that you're not, because you weren't busy just simply being who you are. I bring up that because a little bit of me showed today after JJ Redick tried to show himself today on First Take. We were speaking about LeBron's potential retirement. And JJ Redick went on a soliloquy that I didn't quite deduce with clarity, you know, because I wanted him to be more direct. And that morphed into something else. And because of it, that clip has gone viral. Me and JJ Redick. Before I even comment any further, look for yourself. Oh, you see, this is the part that's kind of fun. Because there's something that y'all don't know. Let me give you a little insight in the First Take. And I don't mind bringing up First Take, even though this is my podcast. I own and operate it. This is the Stephen A. Smith Show. It has nothing to do with ESPN, all of that other stuff. We all know what my day job is. I'm the co-host and the star of First Take, which is on ESPN every weekday morning from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. I've been on the show since 2012. It's 11 and a half years. I've been number one every single year. I'm not going to win many popularity contests. Props to my man Ryan Clark, who's an NFL contributor for us, who does a phenomenal job, who also has his podcast everywhere, The Pivot, with Crowder and Fred Taylor. I love all of those brothers. But especially Ryan Clark, that's my dog, that's my man. We're very tight. I love him to death. So proud of him and the Emmy that he won last night. JJ Redick, by the way, got nominated for an Emmy as one of the bright young new stars on television, and he deserves it, by the way. It's something that y'all got to know about me. I don't give a shit about popularity contests. I never have. If people are watching, listening, and reacting to the things that I have to say, I'm good. I've never won an Emmy. I've never been nominated for an Emmy. If people who've won those things, that makes them better than me, God bless them. I hope everybody wins an Emmy. I'm not hating. Go for yours. Because when you're somebody like me who announces to the world, I don't give a damn about popularity contest, you don't necessarily expect to be popular. And sometimes you're going to agitate people and you're going to get on their last damn nerves. And there's a few times this year that I've done that to JJ Redick. I don't give a damn. I could care less. Because that's what First Take is all about. Real, true, authentic conversation about issues permeating in the world of sports and beyond. That's what I pride First Take in being. That's what I've insisted on it being and maintaining itself to be.
So you heard what Stephen A. Smith had to say. Now, during yesterday's show, when we touched on this topic, I said at the time that this thing seemed messy. And maybe some people will call that entertainment because, hey, well, you know, it's entertainment and we're making a lot of money doing it. So, hey, why not? I said personally, that's not my cup of tea. Now, after listening to Stephen A. Smith, it turns out that it's really all about entertainment. These guys don't take this thing personally. He even said that him and JJ Redick just got off a phone call, so they talk about it. So basically, they're going up there entertaining each other. And it reminded me of an exchange between Dan Le Batard and Stephen A. Smith when I believe Stephen A. Smith went on Dan Le Batard's show. And Dan Le Batard said to Stephen A. Smith, he doesn't like what Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless have essentially turned sports media into, which is basically one big shouting match. And Stephen A. Smith took exception with those comments. He said, no, you know, we're not the only ones doing this. This is what the industry is doing now. And after listening to him explain it, it seems like everything is in bounds as long as it's entertaining. Everything. And obviously that works for him. That works for his network. He's made a lot of money doing that. I think he makes reportedly $1 million a month. He makes $12 million per annum. So he makes a lot of money every month working for ESPN and all the other various projects that he undertakes that I have no idea about. It's none of my business. So it's made him a lot of money doing what he's doing. My take was that exchanges like that are really messy. And I don't think it has to come to that in order for us to entertain the audience. I don't believe we need to start taking personal jabs at each other because those are personal those things really had nothing to do with the top. You know, you never played basketball. I played at a professional level. Stephen A. Smith is talking about his career. Now, they'll say it's acting, but to me, those are personal shots. And if it wasn't, there's no way he would be addressing it if it wasn't. Now, he said it's all entertainment, and that's totally fine. But to me, man, you know, I think there are other ways to create engaging content that doesn't involve that type of stuff. But this is just my opinion, right? This is just my opinion. Someone in our comments on that particular show that we produced, someone mentioned something. He said, hey, why don't you and Marcellus Wiley do a show together, like a segment together? And I like Marcellus Wiley because, number one, he seems very classy. He's a very intelligent guy. He seems like someone that can disagree with you in a respectful way where we don't have to throw darts at each other. And I like that. I like that type of sports. So really, it seems like it all comes down to your preference, right? And it's showing me that there are many different ways to skin the proverbial cat. You have shows like Undisputed, where you have a debate format. You have shows like Colin Cowherd, where it's him. Occasionally, he brings on various guests. And then you have what people are doing in the independent space, like myself and so many others that came before us that are doing it at a much higher level, right? And it's teaching me that people can consume various types of content, and various types of content works for various type of people. And apparently that works for ESPN. But I think what a lot of people out there are doing as well works. I give you a perfect example of this, even though he's come under a considerable amount of scrutiny over the last 2 weeks or so, which is the Pat McAfee show. It was an independent show, probably the biggest independent NFL show out there. Recently, he just announced he's going to be partnering with ESPN, and they're going to keep the same debate format. But anyway, the point is, there was nothing on TV or nothing out there really like that, right? And his show was doing tremendously well, had over 1 billion views. So to me, what I was looking for was an explanation. Stephen A. Smith gave it. He said that, none of this is personal. It's the way that it works for them. And after he gave his explanation, I have no issue with what he had to say. It's just not my cup of tea. There's no way we would create a show where I have like a debate partner and we're going down that line. We can argue about we can argue about the topic. We can yell back and forth about the topic, but it's never going to get personal, right? And I would never want to be annexed to something like that because it's just not my cup of tea. Again, if we're going to be doing that and behaving like that, let's behave like that. Not in a professional context. There's really no need for that. There's no good reason for me to do something like that. So these are my thoughts and opinions on what Stephen A. Smith had to say. So really the question to the audience is simply this. What do you think about the explanation that Stephen A. Smith put forward? Do you think that it added more clarity to the exchange that him and JJ Redick had, and clarity to maybe future exchanges he may have in the future? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section, and we'll definitely catch you guys on the next show.